Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So I want to give my thoughts on Romance 8, the trailer that just dropped, the remake of course I'm talking about. And I just want to talk about the big things that stood out to me, the big three. Okay, I just picked three things that really stood out, but just know, to sum it up, I think the game is in great shape right now just based on that 3-minute trailer. And the reason is because all Koei has to do is just facelift a 20-year-old game and keep the mechanics. That's all they have to do. And based on the trailer, it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. If you've been playing the Koei games for decades now, like I have, you know that the older games were the better games. So that's all they have to do is update them, okay? So let me talk about the three things that I really like, okay? Number three, the thing that really stands out to me is the return of the Vagrant Army mechanic. Okay, so Vagrant Army's in old Romance 8, and I think it was also in Romance 10. Somebody let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure it was in Romance 10. Vagrant Army. So in that game, I'm not a big RP player. I'm not a big role player, but people that love the RPG mechanics are gonna love the Vagrant Army mechanic. Okay, I loved using it, and like I said, I'm more war inclined. I'm more about waging war in Romance than anything else. Okay, the Vagrant Army mechanic lets you play as a roving band of brothers, basically as like a small army that's not quite big enough to take a castle, at least in the beginning, but can as they work towards it. Okay, so you're playing almost like a mercenary group. In old Romance 8, what this meant is that you can go through and set up camp in any city, free cities, any occupied cities, it doesn't matter, with your little group of 3,000, 4,000 soldiers. And if you were moving into a free city, you could claim that city if you wanted to establish a force. Or, let's say, this is Romance 14 by the way, for anybody wondering. This is our Yang Feng playthrough. So definitely check that out. Anyway, let's say you were holed up in this city here in Puyang City in Romance 8, right, with your little group. Well, depending on your reputation, the castle lord could ask you to give him some troops to let you entry into the city. He could ask for gold. There was a bartering system there based on your reputation, whether you'd be allowed entry or not. It's basically taking the idea of Liu Bei, of Lu Bu, who were wandering for a little while with their little group, right? So you could enter a city, and you could even participate in wars on behalf of the force that was letting you stay. So if we were allowed to stay with Li Ju's force right here, and he goes to war with Yang Feng here, you could be called on to participate in the battle. And there would be benefits for that. Your reputation would go up for your little mercenary band. Your personal reputation with the castle lord would go up with that band. You could recruit free officers to join your little squad, your little mercenary company. And whenever you were ready, if you wanted to, like I said, you could establish yourself as a force somewhere on the map. If there wasn't a free city, you could attack. So if we had a little roving band here, and Li Ju goes to war, and he comes back weakened, okay, we could plan to seize his city while he's weakened and down and out, and kick him out and take over the city. That's the roving band mechanic. It was, like I said, it's very, very interesting. It's very fleshed out. This is a 20-year-old game, but like I said, it was very addicting. People who love RPG, who love playing through that, developing their own narrative and their own story, are going to love that mechanic. It's insane how much fun you can have with that. Okay, so that's the number three thing I'm most excited about. The return of the Vagrant Armies. So the number two thing is the Tails, what they're calling the Tails mechanic, which it kind of reminds me a little bit of this game here, Romance 14. So Romance 14 has the event system, and it looks pretty close to this. Okay, if you guys saw the trailer, you can tell that it looks pretty close to this. So it's basically the events that happen in the game, and you can choose when they trigger, right? And there's a requirement screen, and then there's a result screen. So you can check mark the requirements and you follow along. The interesting thing about the Tails is that they basically built on this system from Romance 14 in the sense that you can choose which way things develop. So in this game, there's a few just a few events where you have that choice. The one that comes to mind is Lu Bu slaying Dong Zhuo. When Lu Bu slays Dong Zhuo in this game, you can choose whether to take over as Lu Bu, take over as Li Yu, and whether Lu Bu stays, takes over the whole force, or he's driven out. Okay, so there's a branching path in this game. So it seems like they've decided to flesh that out completely, and now you have multiple branching paths with the way that the story develops. This is huge, okay? Even if the variation is small, even if it's only 1 out of 2 choices, 1 out of 2 choices for big decisions such as, what I just said, Lu Bu winning, Lu Bu succeeding his coup, Dong Zhuo stopping Lu Bu's coup, that's huge. Cao Cao losing the Battle of Guandu, okay? Cao Cao winning the Battle of Chibi. The possibilities, you know, Suge Liang succeeding in the Wu Zhang campaign, right? Or living longer. They can basically take all their what-if scenarios. This is what I think they're going to do. They're going to take most of their what-if scenarios that they can't fit into the game and fit them into the events. So ideas that you'd have whole scenarios crafted for, you'll just be able to trigger them as you want on the event screen. You'll be able to choose how they resolve. Hopefully this is a wide open system that's gives that much power to the player, so that your maps can develop, you know, radically differently, because that's what you want. That's what the romance series needs. It needs more branching paths in terms of map development, right? Once you've played through the map 5 or 6 times, you already know how all the story beats, how everything's going to develop. So the Tails mechanic really injects a shot of RNG of different variables, and it should hopefully give control to the player, just like Romance 14 does here, where you can choose what event you want to trigger. You can choose, do you want to trigger it, yes or no, and how do you want to trigger it. That's the part that they're going to build on. I think they're going to build on the how do you want to resolve this. So that'll affect how the map develops, which forces rise and fall. You'll be able to change how your playthrough plays, so it's not the same playthrough. Because as fun as it is to see, you know, the anti-Dong Zhuo coalition a handful of times, Liu Bei's, retreat, Battle of Chibi, his establishing, yada, you know, all that stuff. As fun as it is to see those events, after a couple of playthroughs, you get burnt out and you want to see different things, right? So this system is really important for that, for replayability. So that's the number 2 thing I'm most excited about, the Tails mechanic. All right, now the number 1 thing. Okay, the number 1 thing. And you know, if you've been following this channel for a while, you already know what I'm gonna say. Number 1 thing is battles. Battles are improved / faster. That's the quote in the trailer, okay? I can't stress how important it is to fix the battle system from Romance 8. As much as I liked Romance 8's battle system, OG 8's battle system, it was too slow. Anybody who's played it will tell you the same thing. It was way too slow. It needs to be faster, which is, it looks like they already knew that. I mean, they could probably tell right away, right? So we're talking about a 20-year-old game. It's faster now, and it's improved. What is improved? I don't know. Does improved mean that there's not going to be any way to cheese the AI? Hell no. Hell no. There's still going to be ways to break the game. That's standard Koei affair, okay? If you think that Koei's ever going to make a game that doesn't have AI problems, I mean, just look at all of gaming. Everything's broken. Okay, you have to find what's that Star Wars expression? Make your own luck, right? Make your own balancing. That's just how gaming is right now. Find what's fun for you and stick with it. There's going to be ways to break whatever battle system they implement in the game. If you enjoy breaking it, if that's how you want to play your sandbox, more power to you. If you don't like it, don't use it. You know what I mean? Don't expect Koei to release a game that's perfectly polished. It's never going to happen, or even close to perfectly polished. 70% is what you can expect. And even then, you will see some really, like I said, even 70% is probably a bit too much. Okay? So we don't know what battles improved means, but as long as they're faster, as long as the tempo is faster. even Romance 14, which I'm playing right now. Like I said, Yangfeng playthrough on the channel. Go check it out. We're doing a bandit build right now, which is, well, just check out the channel and you'll see. Anyway, Romance 14 has a huge tempo issue. You have to it really takes a while to get going, and even then, the speed of the game, it kind of just plods along at a lot of different points in the game. Okay, this has been like in my opinion, an issue with this series for a while now. Whenever they do a turn-based game, and the battles need to be quicker, so them saying that they're going to improve the speed is huge. Okay. Now, for those of you who haven't played Romance 8's battle system is very, very, very good. Okay, it's just the speed that's holding it down. But Romance 8 has a lot of interesting things in it that they tried to do with 13, such as the War Council meeting before you go to war. In Romance 8, there's a War Council meeting. Your strategist, depending on how good he is, will suggest strategy, an overall strategy. So you have this nuance where you have to choose what strategy you want to try as the attacker to implement, what tactics to take in the battle. The strategy outlines how to trigger the tactics. As the defender, you can lay traps. The higher your strategist's intelligence, the more traps, the stronger traps you can lay for the attacker. There's a supply line, there's camps that you have to take. There's a lot of good stuff in the battles in Romance 8 that's very, very good. There's a lot of nuance, you know, but the speed was the thing that killed that game. It was the number one complaint was the speed. It just takes too long. The role playing was good, everything, but when you get to a battle, some of those battles would run 45-50 minutes, and we're talking trivial battles, guys. I'm not talking about, okay, it's 45-50 minutes, but it's an epic battle against the coalition for, no. 45-50 minutes sometimes to take a castle that was just, you know, garrisoned by a small army. I mean, how many of you remember just you clicking the siege button to hit these castle walls over and over again and waiting for your turn to come back around so that you can keep hitting the castle walls for 10 damage, 15 damage, and the castle's got, you know, 2,000 HP, and you have your 8 units just each one taking a turn, taking a whack at the castle walls for 10, 12, 20 damage. Like I said, it was very, very tedious. Man, I'm so excited that they picked up the speed. I'm so happy that they picked up the speed. Like, it's going to allow people to get into the game that much faster. So that's the number one thing. A couple of other things that I saw from the trailer that I'm really excited for. The return of coalitions, of course. In Romance 8, you could have a coalition be declared on you. If I'm here, I'm in Shu Province right now. If I have Gongsun Zan, Lu Bu, and Liu Bei declare a coalition against me, Lu Bu could attack me if he's bordering me. Let's say Yuan Shu's in charge of this coalition. If Yuan Shu attacks me, then he can call Lu Bu, Liu Bei, and Gongsun Zan soldiers immediately to the front. And I would be facing 4 armies right here when the battle takes place, when we go to the battle screen. So I love that about Romance 8. Sometimes you could just get hosed because a ton of forces would declare war, and if one attacked you, they would all show up, and you just have these massive battles where you're fighting, you know, 4 or 5 different forces from across the map. It felt very thematic. It felt very much like your own personal anti-Dongzhuo coalition. Or on the flip side, you could put together a coalition force against a bigger force and just have a massive brawl with all these units. So I love that coalitions are coming back. And I also like that the duel system and the debate system, they look like Romance 10's duel system and debate system, which were probably the pinnacle of dueling and debate. Outside of simulation, because me personally, I prefer to simulate, but in terms of control, the duel system, the debate system from Romance 10, it looks like they've taken the best parts of it and put it in 8, so that's great. I also feel like we're probably not going to get a remake of 10. I see a lot of stuff that's kind of ripped from 10. So we're probably, you know, instead of getting a 7, an 8, and a 10, and a 13, they probably grabbed all the best parts of the role-playing and put it in to make 8. So I'm predicting that we're going to get one version that's going to do the same thing with the battle mechanics, with the ruler-focused entries, and it's going to take the best parts of, you know, 9, 11, 11, which is the best one, okay? I love 9. 9 is my personal best one, but I think objectively 11 is the best one. So we're probably going to get one that's going to take 9 and 11's best parts and make a ruler-focused remake. We'll probably get one for that as well. It's probably going to be Romance 11. As much as I love 9, I can't see them making 9. I can see them making 11 for sure. So anyway, that's my thoughts on everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope the game is a fucking huge success, so we get more remakes from Koei. I'd like to see more stuff from Nobunaga's Ambition series. I'd love to get a Rise to Power or an Iron Triangle remake. Oh, man, I would be over the moon, man. So I think the game's in good hands. I'm glad they delayed it. I'm very excited to play it in October. And yeah, if you guys could do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Koei games are pretty much what we cover here. I've got a lot of 14. We're doing Awakening right now. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.